Nothing so blinding as perception of form, for sight of form means understanding has been obscured. The theme of form versus content runs throughout A Course in Miracles, which teaches that when form is perceived, content or meaning is abandoned and moves into the background of one's awareness. The importance here is understanding the underlying content, rather than becoming lost in the numerous different forms and shapes of the world. The world of perception was originally made by the ego mind in order to conceal the formless reality in all things. The ego perceives form absent of love, perceiving objects merely as empty shells, for it perceives the world through a fearful mind. Thus, it is not aware of the loving content that comprises the essence of all things. While the ego can build beautiful appearing images, this does not mean that love is the content of them. For the fearful mind sees only the differences of shapes, colors, and textures, and is incapable of seeing the unifying and peaceful meaning of anything. The body's eyes see only form. They cannot see beyond what they were made to see. The ego mind sees only appearances and does not see past them. They are made to guarantee that nothing else but form will be perceived. The body's eyes rest on externals and cannot see beyond them. Its sight stops at the surface level, unable to see the underlying meaning. Seeing through the body's eyes, one sees only empty shapes and colors. The ego believes these images that the body's eyes perceive to be reality. It does not ever question whether the body's eyes can actually see. For what the body's eyes see is but an error of perception, a distorted appearance of what is truly there. When one begins to question this distortion, a new way of seeing becomes possible. As the very first lesson in the workbook tells us, nothing I see means anything. And in this recognition, a new way of seeing arises. Where do all these differences come from? It is the mind that interprets the eye's messages and gives them meaning. Meaning is chosen in the mind. Course teacher Ken Wapnick points out that perception is not a fact, but an interpretation. The meaning of the world does not come from the world itself. The meaning of anything originates in the mind, which evaluates what the eyes behold. What is seen as reality is simply what the mind chooses and desires to see. As Workbook Lesson 2 states, I have given everything I see all the meaning it has for me. The meaning given to an image is determined by which part of the mind is interpreting it. The ego mind sees a fearful world and uses the past to judge it. Spirit mind sees only the peaceful presence of love in the present moment. Perception is a mental activity that never leaves the mind that made it. Just as film images projected onto a movie screen never leave the film projector. Ideas originating in the mind never, ever leave the mind. Every illusion is one of fear, whatever form it takes, and the attempt to escape from one illusion into another must fail. All things are not what they seem to be. Or as Albert Einstein once said, reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. What one takes to be reality is actually an appearance or image that is not based in truth. It is but imagined. The world of form is fearful in nature because its original purpose was to distort reality by making a substitute reality, a pseudo-reality. True reality is never frightening. It is just what it is. Fearful beliefs can take on form in the world, but this does not make them any more real. To quote the Course, they are but forms and shapes and fears of nothing. Seeing truly involves seeing with the peace-guided mind. For peace is an aspect or condition of truth. While even this peaceful appearance is still an illusion, it serves as a stepping stone to eventually moving beyond all perception. It is the happy dream experienced before waking up. Whenever any form of special relationship tempts you to seek for love in ritual, remember love is content and not form of any kind. Rituals focus on form, on body behavior. Course teacher David Hoffmeister recently said that the thought, love is content and not form of any kind, is the very key to understanding A Course in Miracles. Love is the only actual, true content. Love is the very content in all awareness. For unlimited love is the very nature of truth. Fear is but false images which appear to be real. It is an appearance lacking meaning, and hence is an illusion, being nothing absent of reality. When love is not present in one's mind, fear has appeared to substitute and seemingly replace love. The ego seeks specific forms within the world, and when it does not perceive these forms, it fears it has been attacked, and chooses to attack and condemn in response. Ego mind always mistakes form for content. For fear blinds one to the very presence of love itself. Take not the form for content, for the form is but a means for content. In chapter 25 of the text, content is described as being like an artist's painting, while form is described as being the picture frame, which holds the painting on the wall. When one sees another merely as a physical form, a body, it is like perceiving the other as an empty picture frame, absent of the painting itself. And who puts an empty frame on a wall and admires it? Yet this is what the ego mind does when looking for value in the form itself. One has objectified a living masterpiece into a lifeless and loving facade, seeing only an animated mannequin. Spirit mind, on the other hand, sees the body image as merely a pointer, as a means for joining with the masterpiece that was created by love itself. Every loving thought is true. Everything else is an appeal for healing and help, regardless of the form it takes. The Course teaches that the only thing real in a world of form is the love that is seen in it. In workbook lessons 79 and 80, we learn that there is only one problem to the many seeming problems of the world. And we are told this one problem has already been solved. The one problem is the ego's belief in ideas of separation. Spirit mind answered this problem by pointing out that it is impossible to separate from oneness, from reality, from love. Thus, listening to the ego mind is the only problem, and listening to the spirit mind instead is always the solution. This is why form does not matter, and why there is no order of difficulty in healing. Choosing the ego as one's translator is the only problem. Spirit mind is the effective translator who knows how to alter form without altering the underlying meaning. For it will never substitute the meaning of love with ideas of separation that bring about fear. When you have looked upon your brother with complete forgiveness, from which no error is excluded, and nothing kept hidden, what mistake can there be anywhere you cannot overlook? When the Course asks one to see past the mistakes of others, it is asking one to look past body actions by seeing the other's essential worthiness and innocence. As the philosopher Plato put it, to look past the body, one looks past appearances to the reality. The ego fixates on shadowy shapes appearing on a cave wall, while the spirit mind focuses on the thoughts occurring within awareness that are the source of the world's forms. The shapes of the world are but reflections of an activity occurring within one's awareness. The source is hidden to the ego because it looks for the source outside on the cave wall, outside in the world. By shifting one's attention from form to the meaning-making occurring in the mind, a choice between love and fear become possible. Forgiveness then becomes the mind's choice to let all fear be gently laid aside toward all the forms appearing in the world. Changes are required in the minds of God's teachers. Question 9 in the Teacher's Manual points out that changes necessary for one to become a teacher of peace versus a teacher of fear occur in one's mind and may or may not involve changes in one's outside situation. It's not the what one does that matters so much, but rather how one is doing what one does. Is it being done under the guidance of a loving mind or a fearful and attacking one? Thus, it is not so important whether one stays or leaves in a house, job, or relationship, but rather is one's behavior free of guilt and fear. This is because what truly matters happens at the mind level, while the effects of one's thinking occurs at the appearance or worldly level. As the Course famously advises, seek not to change the world, but choose rather to change your mind about the world. Changes in the content of one's mind will bring about change in how the world is experienced at the physical form level. It is not form you seek. In the New Testament, in John 24:7, it is written, "Do not judge by appearances, but judge with right judgment." To judge by appearances is to have made decisions based on form. To judge rightly in A Course in Miracles is to be guided by Spirit's judgment, which sees everything as love or a call for love. Early on in the workbook lessons, we are told, until one learns that form does not matter, one will have to apply forgiveness to every form arising in one's perception. Eventually, one learns to generalize with the understanding that all appearances either support the truth of love or the illusion of fear. Everything is either love or something calling for help and healing. In recognizing this cry for help, one's heart and mind expand to meet the call. In seeing all lack of peace as a call for help and understanding, all things become equally acceptable, and a state of equanimity arises in one's awareness. If you are not a body, what are you? The phrase, "I am not a body," occurs 48 times in A Course in Miracles. It is in Lesson 91 that we are asked, "If you are not a body, what are you?" This question is asking one to look past one's form identity to an inner formless sense of being. This question is inviting one into an experience beyond words. It is by first releasing the ego's body image that one opens to what Spirit offers to replace it, pointing to one's original creation. It is like the Zen koan, which asks, "What was your face before your parents were born?" which has no answer, but which pushes the mind past its habitual fixation on form to a new recognition. For identifying with the image of a body is merely a learned habit, a limiting idea placed on one's true self, that only calls for correction, undoing, and rediscovery. Let us not forget, however, that words are but symbols of symbols. They are thus twice removed from reality. There is nothing sacred in any word, symbol, or language form. Words are always a reference to something other than itself. The finger pointing to the moon is not the moon. Words are used only so one can go beyond them. Saying a word means nothing, but joining with its meaning can bring about a powerful realization. As one progresses in studying the workbook lessons, one is told that words will have less and less importance. Words and concepts are but stepping stones, and one learns gradually to lose dependence on them. For one is looking for experience of direct encounter that goes beyond all human symbols. In Lesson 189, one is asked to let go of all forms, words, symbols, and concepts, forgetting even a course in miracles, arriving in stillness and silence with totally empty hands, holding on to nothing. For ultimate reality can only be met without any limits of form, unimagined and unseen.